Yep, Vibe Show 97.9 in full effect. Listen, I'm super excited. All my fans are super excited. All of my special guest fans are super excited. This is super long awaited right here. This is personal for me, and it's truly a blessing. So I'm telling you right now, y'all get your popcorn, get your drinks, whatever you do to relax, get all that stuff together because we definitely got a treat for y'all tonight. It's the Vibe Show 97.9. Yep, it's the Vibe Show 97.9. I'm your host, Kano the Don, the Vibe King. Listen, man, I'm super happy and super excited, man, to introduce my guest that I have tonight. I'm talking about a legend, No Limit Record, former No Limit Record recording artist, man. I'm talking about this guy here is truly not only an amazing artist, but an amazing human being, man, who have overcame and just a pure inspiration to me. And I know so many other people out there in the world. I'm talking about the one and only Mac.
What's going on, man? It's a pleasure to be here, man.
Yo,
man, this is great, man. I checked out everything, man, and I'm proud of you. This is fire, man.
Look, man, I'm just sitting here like it's like deja vu because I just keep playing over and over in my head those conversations that we had, man. Like, I feel like we brothers, which we are, but right. You really are an inspiration to me, man. It means a lot. This interview means a lot to me. Like I told you, it's really personal for me. And to see you here on this screen with me today is truly a blessing. I'm honored, man. And I just want to thank you for me and my team for this amazing opportunity.
And I appreciate it, man. And I'm humbled by that. And I would just say that I was just in a position, brother, to pass on some information to you at that time that was passed on to me. And that's right. How this works. You know what I mean? The OG right. Sat me down, gave it to me, and I passed it on to you. And I'm pretty sure you done passed it on to others, man. And it's just a blessing to be a part of that.
Absolutely. You know what's amazing, man? Because I watched the because it was live, the hearing and everything. And right. Man, it brought tears to my eyes because being on that other side, having that opportunity to meet you on that other side, coming into a situation, because in your mind, when you out in the world, moving around, doing things or whatever, man, you only see prison from the visuals that the visions that they may paint, the things we've seen on TV right. or might have heard friends or something like that. But it's nothing like actually physically going through that mental experience yourself. So coming into that situation, man, not knowing what to expect, fear all over you, thinking of ways to protect yourself, not knowing what to expect. And then right. I had the opportunity to meet you, and it was being in that situation, the way that you made me feel, man. I don't know what you saw in me or whatever, but from conversating or whatever, you brought somewhat of a comfort into a situation that I was beginning. And I never got an opportunity to thank you for that, man. But I want to thank you because you shared some words with me at that time that I needed to hear, that got me through at the beginning of my journey, man. And I just want to thank you again for that.
Oh man, and once again, you're welcome. And as I said earlier, it's like you were receptive to those words, and you know, just as myself when it was given to me, I needed that comfort as well. When I first entered the system, it was my first time. I had no idea what to expect, and like any person that's walking into an unknown environment, there is a level of some semblance of fear, you know, and fear can it can manifest itself in different ways. For me, what fear did was make me very cautious of everything around me, you know what I mean? And it just made me quiet, and it made me want to pay attention and see how things move. But then because I was receptive to learning, you know, there were OGs that came to me and was like, yo, and they gave me some words of comfort to let me know, look, youngin, if you just mind your business and, you know, you just focus on going home and doing those things that can help you progress along the way, then you good. And so I followed that blueprint, man. And anybody I felt that was looking for that blueprint or even gave me the semblance of a receptivity to it, I passed it along.
Right. You know, man, I think that it's different, man, when you.
Oh, I watched the hearing too. Not to cut you off. You just were talking about the hearing.
Yeah.
I watched the hearing too. And I got to tell you, it brought tears in my eyes too. And it was like watching, I was in the hearing, but I was actually watching it like someone that was just away from it. And it was like, man, and it did something very unusual, man. And it brought me to tears. And that's something very rare for me. And not in a tough way. I've always been a person that was kind of good at shielding my feelings and camouflaging my emotions. But man, I was so happy I just let it go.
Right. You know, thinking back, man, like let's go back to, because when all of this stuff happened, man, like you were on top of the world. You were one of the hottest artists over on one of the biggest labels in the world. And have you ever thought to yourself, like, and I'm pretty sure you have, because to me, you know, even when you were on the Tank, you always was, you wasn't one of the boisterous types. You always was skilled when it came down to your writing ability, the way that you put music together. So you were definitely one of my favorites on the label. And you were one of the ones that was always kind of laid back with it. You know, I'm gonna go there, I'm doing my job, I'm here, boom, I'm trying to perform and do my thing. And then the unusual happens. Bring me back to, because that always, I'm like, I always said to myself, out of all people, how could something like this happen to Mac?
Right. And you know, it could actually happen to anybody, you know what I mean? And you know, sometimes we can place ourselves in places that we probably would better off not being, you know, in, or, you know, places like that. But as far as the music is concerned, I will say that I definitely was more attracted to the craft, you know, and growing up. So, you know, you're talking about a person who, by the time I actually signed to No Limit, I had already been in the business professionally for about 9 years at the time. And so I was always attracted to the songwriting and the lyrics and just, you know, the creativity of putting everything together. And I would say that was my my passion, you know what I mean? So yes, I did approach songs a little more seriously and probably with a little more thoughtfulness. And sometimes that can work against you, because sometimes we just like to jam to something that we don't have to think as much, you know what I mean, for. But I couldn't help it. That was just in me. You know, I like to write that stuff that hits here, you know.
Does that, you know, that happen? And like I said, that was at pretty much the height of your career. Like, I mean, you were on fire then. And then this situation happened, and you find yourself away from No Limit, away from the lifestyle, away from your fans, away from your family,
Right.
and now embarking on, and when this first happened, you don't know how this is going to turn out.
Right.
Talk to me about some of the things that were going through your mind, maybe when you were going, in the parish, it's just all happening. It's just surreal. It's in real time.
Well, it was devastating, and to say the least. And for me to even use another word to describe it would be, wouldn't give it justice. It was devastating. And as far as what was going on through my mind, man, my thoughts was racing. A lot was going on. I was, of course, trying to adjust to being in a confined space, number one. Yeah. Number two, I had the thoughts of, damn, one of the biggest songs that No Limit had just released, I wrote it, and nice. I had to see the video number one on the countdowns on BET and MTV, and I was laying in the rack in the parish, and all of this stuff was like, it kind of hurt, you know what I mean? It was like, well, damn, I just felt like this was my time. I was about to break through, right. And it happened, but that was some of the thoughts that was running through my head. But I guess over time, I just had to adjust. And I had to bury those thoughts because I didn't think they was going to help me. They wouldn't be constructive to me. I had to.
I think we froze up. Y'all be patient. It's the Vibe Show 97.9. There we go. We got
back.
Yeah, we back.
Oh, and the last thing I said was, I almost had to emotionally remove myself from my situation just so I can help myself more effectively. Because, giving thoughts to those things that I lost or what could have been at that time, it was just bringing me a lot of sorrow. And I don't like being sad, you know what I mean? So for me to focus on trying to get myself out of there, I had to basically just suck it up, man, and take it and just roll with it and just try to keep pushing to make sure that I can get out there at the earliest that I can.
Yeah, everything that you're saying, I can totally relate because it's, I didn't have as much time as you had and wasn't facing what you were facing. But, I went through that experience, the experience of not being able to bond out, that reality sitting in. And then, like you said, being in a confined, environment around so many different personalities, it raised my awareness as well, because, I guess in a way, kind of going through life thinking that, it would never happen to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then when it happens, not only I'm a whole bunch of things going through my mind. I'm stressing my mom out, my family. I'm smarter than this. How did I end up in this situation? I'm so many things were going through my mind, man. And then, you're sitting back and you're watching people not even, it's like a regular thing to them.
Right.
And, you know what I mean?
And the unfortunate thing is, for some guys, it is a regular thing. Some guys are just in and out. They've been in and out since a juvenile and as an adult. And man, that's just unfortunate. And it was situations. I guess one of the things that I always reminded myself was there were people in way more difficult situations than I did. Right. And that's what kind of kept me along. Anytime I had that feeling of, anytime I even attempted to feel sorry for myself, I would just think about other guys that I saw in there were in way worse situations, particularly those who didn't have family support and stuff like that. Because as you know, man, without family support, a lot of people break, man. They can't handle it. Man. It's just not a good environment. And I would tell anyone, the movies don't really give you a clear picture of it. The TV shows don't really give you a clear picture of it. And nothing can actually give you an in-depth look at what really goes on in prison and what people really deal with, specifically on the inside. Right. Because the threats a lot of times is not anything physical, and it's not coming from outside, it's coming from within. Because you're left to your own thoughts, and you have to deal with all that you've gone through in life, and all of those things that we just mentioned, all of those coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and all of that stuff. It kind of brings you grief and pain. So, if you're not strong, man, it can really overtake you.
Absolutely, man. The thing that I think is remarkable, and just pure inspiration for me was meeting you on that journey at that time.
I was young too at that time.
Exactly. But you were so humble. You were so humble, man. And it's like, can you hear me? We froze up again. Y'all make sure y'all keep it locked in. It's the Vibe Show 97.9 with my special guest, the one and only Mac. We're going to get this thing right. Y'all make sure y'all hang in there with us. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. I think that the thing that you were so humble, even being in that environment at that point in time, you were so humble. Talk to me about maintaining that humbleness within the environment, because you yourself know that it's the same as on the streets, man. Like, it's so much temptation, it's drugs, it's all type of stuff, even within the prison walls, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's still the same in a way. Talk to me about your mental process of how you maintain that humbleness.
Well, I will give all the credit, of my humbleness to my parents. All credit go to them. They pretty much instilled humility, discipline, and me and all of my siblings. I'm the oldest, so I always was the leader, the one who had to set the example. So and also just realistically, because when I left the streets, I was a quote unquote leader of a pack, as they say. I always felt the pressure of having to make the right decisions all the time, and that in itself is humbling. If that makes any sense. Just Absolutely. Knowing that you the person that has to make the big decisions, that in itself should be humbling to any man or any woman. But so that was part of the process, and just having self-pride, man, not wanting to be, that to some degree we all have some type of care for the way others see us, and I never wanted people to see me in a certain way, in a negative way, while I was walking through that journey. There were certain things that I wouldn't never do, because I would never want anyone to be able to say, man, I saw Mac doing X, Y, and Z. Nah, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Because I had, I had a lot of self-pride, and that, along with several other, factors, kept me humble, because I felt that, man, from day one, I felt I was wronged, and I felt the way to travel that, and I made a promise. I felt the way to travel that was to be humble, because I made a promise to myself that I was gonna stay spotless throughout that whole process, because I wanted to prove. If I couldn't prove to the jury that I was innocent, I felt I went on a mission. From the time they put me in that parish, I said, I'm gonna prove to the world that I am. And it took 21 years, but I think I did.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because when I got there, you were the head of several programs, and I think that was something that you shared with me as well. On my journey, you told me, you was like, man, make sure that you get involved in every program that you can possibly get involved in, and to not allow yourself to become a part of the environment. And that stuck with me, man. As I left, you didn't know I left, because you asked me, you were starting a music program on top of other programs that you were doing. You were speaking, you were doing so many different amazing things, and looked at a certain type of way. Because I think when you come in, just understanding, and I learned this along the way as well with traveling to different facilities, I learned that everybody is looked upon the same when you embark on these new facilities or whatever. And as time go on, the officers and the people at the facility get an opportunity to kind of get to know you a little bit,
Right.
and then they'll start separating you
Right.
from others. And I think that helped me out as well, because you shared that with me as well. And I always tried to keep myself disconnected from what was going on in the environment. And you done that as well. So, you know, to me, I think that that's another thing that helped me out mentally too, was being a part of so many different programs and trying to embark positivity on even in within the circumstances as well. They helped me out as well, and people kind of looked at me a certain type of way as well.
Right. And that came with what I learned early on is that favor is earned. You know, when we go into these facilities or anywhere in life, you know, sometimes you have that person that sit back and say, well, they do that for them, but they ain't doing that for me. Well, you don't know the relationship they've earned or build with that person. There's a reason they're giving them that favor. And I had to learn early on that favor is earned, you know what I mean? And it's earned through building relationships. So at that time, for me, being a part of programs, number one, it gave me something to be a part of, to keep my mind focused away from the reality that I was in this terrible situation. You know what I mean? That was part of it. And the other part of it was, I mean, just on a mundane level, I like to win. And when I first entered prison, you know, to win as a prisoner is to get out. So if to get out is to win, I started paying attention to those guys who were in similar situations as myself, and I started paying attention to the path that they walked to get them where they was going, which was to that goal line, right? So when I saw that, okay, this is the way to win, that's my way, because I don't like to lose. And that's why I walked that path, and I walked it with conviction, and I walked it what is it, persistently or consistently, one of those
Consistently,
words.
You know, Mac, being in that situation, knowing that you're innocent, you know, all of that time basically fighting for your innocence, you know, does it make you somewhat look at and view life a little differently?
Wait, which part? Repeat that again, because I just clicked back in because the thing went out.
In you know, being innocent and being in that situation, knowing you're innocent, going throughout that journey all those years, does it make you view things differently in a way?
Yeah, it do. I had to find the good in it, because, you know, until this happened to me, I thought that the system worked right. You know, I thought it worked a certain way.
Me too.
And you know, it was I learned firsthand that it don't always work right. And I didn't know that there were people that were in prison. You know, we all have our opinions when we on the streets, and we like free this one and free that one. But it wasn't until I literally walked through this that I realized that, yo, there are people that are in prison for nothing.
Right.
Or for crimes they didn't commit. I knew this because I walked through it. And of course, it disappointed me. You know, it disappointed me as far as the way the system worked. You know, it was disheartening to know that there were actually people who, for whatever reasons, decided to put truth and justice in the back seat to basically pursue a person that they wanted rather than the person who actually committed the crime. And that in itself was, you know, it's just disheartening as a human, because I hate to think that, you know, I'm an optimist, so it's hard for me to find out that people can actually have that type of intent. You know, it hurts because I like to believe in the best in people. You know what I mean? So that, and from that point of view, it changed the way I saw some things.
Right. Would you say along the journey with coming in a superstar, you know, people may view that a different way. On the inside, they may view that a different type of way, but coming in a superstar and going through that, experiencing that, fighting as hard as you had to fight for your freedom, did that kind of change your mindset in a way towards music and the entertainment business in a way as well?
That's a good question. Actually, I just think that my growth and maturity kind of changed my approach to my view of music and my approach to it. I just think it just came in time as I matured. But I also know that when you come to prison, and I'm pretty sure any celebrity that has been to prison can probably agree that it has its pros and cons. See, most people would think that he's so and so, so I know they did. No, because we have to keep in mind most prisoners are built in very small towns.
Facts.
With certain populations of people that have certain views of certain individuals. That's right. What I'll say in a politically correct way.
That's right. That's right.
And for some people, it'd be their chance to let those people that they have seen from a distance, whether it was through entertainment, television, or whatever, it'd be their chance to really sock it to the people that they've been wanting to. They just never had the opportunity to.
That's a fact, man.
Y'all get my drift. Y'all know where I'm going. So
yeah.
So it can work against you in that way.
Right.
There's some people that like to remind you that, yeah, I got my foot on your neck and there's nothing you can do about it.
Right.
So,
right. Would you feel that is it safe to say that you felt that maybe because I learned a lot, man, with doing my bid and stuff. I learned a lot about people as well. A lot of people that I thought that, might have been there for me in some way, form, or fashion. Those people wasn't there.
right.
It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about people as well. Did you experience the same thing mentally?
Yeah, I mean, I think that everybody to some degree go through those feelings while we're in prison. But I always tried to remind myself when I was in prison that life goes on. I can't expect someone. I never wanted to expect anyone to put their life on hold because of my situation. Because then, you would be dealing that person a greater injustice. And I think in time, you would hurt for that. Because I always wanted the people that I love, when you truly love someone, you want them to be happy. You want their lives to be comfortable and you want them to live. So I always considered that, when I dealt with the way I had, my relationships with people on the outside. And for a lot of the guys that I used to remind them, and because when I mentored a lot of young men, they would be like, man, my dog, he don't even come to see me. I'm like, man, well, if your dog's still out there in the streets, if your partner is still out there in the streets, man, you can't expect someone that's in a negative state of mind to do something positive. I mean, science don't work like that. So,
right.
A lot of times, the people that come to see you, man, it's only love can put you on that highway to go see a prisoner. I don't care who you are. Only love can put you on that highway to go see a prisoner. So, and it's not to say that those people don't love you who don't come. It's just that if they're not in the right state of mind, then you can't imagine or you can't expect them to do the right thing. Or also, some people just don't have the means. Some people just don't have the stomach. Some people that I know that, man, they couldn't, prison just was a place they didn't want to enter. You know what I mean? And you have to basically be mindful of all of that.
Right. 21 years, man, and you get granted. You get granted. That day,
Mm-hmm.
they said you're going home. That right there, reality hits. And now, because people got to understand something. When you're in prison, you know, you got things to worry about, but
Right.
not as much as it's moving in the real world.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now, you've made the adjustments with going on your journey. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're at the end. You're going home.
Right.
What's that thought now? Reality. You're a man's man. You know what I mean? You know
Right.
about responsibility. Talk to me about that thought process.
Man. So this is the weird thing. I didn't even get a chance to process going home. And the reason being is because, most people that make parole, it's like it's a process. For some people it take a week, for some people it takes 2 weeks. It's a process, right?
Right.
Well, I made parole, and in about 2.5 hours, I was on the street after 21 years in prison. Like,
Wow.
they literally released me like 2.5 hours after my parole hearing.
Really?
So, right. So I was still in a state of shock, to be honest with you. I didn't get a chance to process. I didn't even get a chance to be happy about making parole.
Right,
So it
right,
was
right.
like, I went back to the dorm and I was like, damn. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start gathering my stuff together in the next couple of days, because by the time they called me, I'm gonna be ready. It was an hour and a half later, they called me to the office and I found that I was going home. Initially, I didn't even know. The guy was talking to me, and he was telling me about the conditions of parole. And during that conversation, I was like, well, man, they never really told me when I'm going home, so I don't really know, when to prepare or whatever.
Give my
And he was
stuff
like,
away. You know how that goes. You
right.
know what I
And he
mean?
was like, what are you talking about? And I repeated it. And he was like, son, them papers I just had you sign, those were your release papers.
Man.
And I just stared at him. I was like, wait, run it by me again? And he was like, those forms that you just signed stating you understood the conditions of parole, those were your release papers. You are a free man.
Whoa.
And I just walked off to go get on the phone. I was like, yo, come get me before they change their mind.
Yeah.
And I was home in about 30, 45 minutes after that. So I was like in the car on the way home, and I was just like, damn. It was all like, I was still in a state of shock. So they were like, what you want to do? So my wife and my business partner, Russell, he came, and my stepdaughters, they were in the car. So we're leaving, and they were like, where you want to go? I said, let's just go to I want some shrimp. So they brought me to my business partner's family owned a restaurant. So we went straight to the restaurant and we got some shrimp. And I'm sitting in the restaurant and I'm just looking around, man. I felt like a dinosaur. I felt like somebody had done like I was in a time warp. So and for the first couple of weeks, man, I came home and I was wiping the walls down. I was wiping everything. My wife was looking at me like I was a science project.
Yeah.
But it was all new. So I really didn't get a chance to take it all in, actually, until maybe, I think, when I was speaking at Dillard. I kind of choked up on stage when I mentioned my uncle.
Really?
But the choke up wasn't just for my uncle. It was the realization that I was now a free man, had all like came down on me at one time. Man. And I just was like, whoa, because now I'm in the real world. I got bills to pay. And, and then it was like, all right, now I got to get on my grind so I can make sure I pay these bills, because this ain't like in prison. The lights ain't gonna go out at a certain time. Meals ain't gonna be coming 3 times a day. No, buddy, you got to go get these meals.
That's right.
You got to go pay for it. So yeah, it was a eye-opening experience. But I have to tell you, man, in comparison to prison, I wouldn't give a damn what it is I had to deal with out here. It was beautiful.
I tell people that all the time, man. Like, and you know, I don't expect people to understand who've never been through that experience before, and even trying to explain it to somebody with some of the things that I've seen throughout that 7.5 years. That it's unimaginable. Some things still are shocking to me, things
Right.
that I've seen, but I made a vow to myself. I carried the words that you gave me, man, you know, upon the beginning of my journey, and on my way heading out, was blessed to encounter you again, and you gave me real good words going out, and I never let those words leave me, man. But I never forget about things. When I start complaining about certain things or whatever, I always catch myself, and I always try to remember what I went through.
Right.
And I never, it's nothing compares to that. Whatever I'm
Right.
going through, whatever I'm stressing about, whatever it
It's
is, it
nothing.
could never amount up to that experience right there, man. And I think that with keeping that in the forefront of my thought process, man, it's really been a help to me mentally,
And,
not
and and
forgetting that.
and guess what? I echo that sentiment, brother. When I tell you, one of my mottos is, as long as I ain't on that count, I'm all right. It really don't matter. I can handle anything
That's
as long
right.
as I'm not on that count. I keep this chain around my neck right here. People have asked me, why do you wear that? Where do you get that from? Two guys who were in prison with me made this for me. So I keep this on my neck as a reminder of
Mm-hmm.
my experience and a reminder to never forget those brothers I left behind.
That's
And that's
right.
why I wear this, because um, it was given to me for free by two guys who actually cared about me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? One of them
Mm-hmm.
is a friend of mine who is right now the owner of a business that's in the Riverwalk outlet down here in New Orleans. He has a store in the mall. And what's crazy is it's a store that me and him is a vision that he had while we were sitting in the dorm in the day room talking. He would tell, we shared, as you know, we shared our dreams and hopes with
Mm-hmm.
each other. And me
Mm-hmm.
and him did the same thing. And guess what? Now he's a owner of a business in the mall. You know what I mean? So I go
Wow.
to that business, man, and it's a good thing to see. You know what I mean? So I was there last night with him. I went over there, and we kind of had a little moment where we were standing outside, and me, him, and another guy that was locked up with us. We all just like, we just had a friendly laugh, man. We just laughed like, wow, man, who would have thought? We was in there, mopping the floors, cleaning up,
Right.
doing this, and now here we are. And the other guy who made this is still fighting his charge, man. He's a person, I won't mention, but he's innocent of his charge, and he's in there fighting, man, with a life sentence. So I always wear this to remind me of those brothers and to remind me of the experience.
Right. When talking about this, man, we have to mention C Murder, man, and
Mm-hmm.
Free C Murder. I know that
Definitely.
you guys had some time to spend some time around each other as
Mm-hmm.
well. Can you talk about C's mental well-being while in your presence, and some of the things that you guys may have shared to get each other through?
Right. Well, it was always good to talk to C, and from the standpoint of, me and him, we shared a lot of things. We had a lot of experiences that we shared together. And so, we used to sit down and talk about things, man, just to pass our time and just laugh at different stuff that we had gone through, in the past. And C was always in a good mood when he was around me. But as I mentioned before, I think that he, even if he wasn't in a good mood, when he was around me, he always showed me a good face, man, because he knows how much I care about him, and he never see don't like people to worry about him.
Right.
And that's just the type of cat he is, because he's a soldier. He always prepared, and he's gonna be a fighter. He's gonna always fight for his freedom until they let him go. And he just got that spirit, man, where if he cares about you, he'll give you the shirt off his back, man. He'll give you his lung, and he don't ever want you to worry about him. So he's always in good spirits when I talk to him. In fact, I talked to him last week, and he was smiling, laughing, ribbing me, like he always do. Asked me why I don't have an album out yet. He was like, "Man, you used to make an album in a week. What's wrong?" I was
Right.
like, see, you know, I'm here now. I mean, it's a little different. We got responsibilities and stuff now. But, you know, when I left the streets, I was 21 years old. You know, I ain't had them responsibilities, so I could focus on those things now. But he was like, boy, no, I'm just messing with you. But yeah, so he been good, man. He been good.
That's a blessing, man. Shout out to C Murder as well.
Yes,
You
indeed.
know, the 21 years, man, you've seen the music game change, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, were you as tapped in with keeping up with the culture evolving, or you were kind of in and out with it? Because, you know, it's a whole new game now from the time that you left the game. It's a whole new world now with this
Yeah.
business.
Well, what's weird is, you know, I had, you know, to some degree, I kept an ear to the street as far as what how things were operating and functioning. You know, I have a dear friend of mine named D1 who's a rapper, and I always ask him questions about different
Mm-hmm.
stuff, that different changes that was being made as far as musically and how people were recording and all of that stuff. And I always kept my ear to the new music that was coming out, you know, that came through the digital platform we had at the prison. And then I had people that worked in the prison who were music heads, and they would always tell me the latest that was going on and this, that, and the other. So I kind of had from a distance, I had a decent, I would say, a decent grip on how things was changing.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that really didn't prepare me for what I saw myself when I got out of here, man. When I got out of here, I was like, wow, this is way different, man. This is out of this world. And I mean, it's different in many ways. It has its disadvantages, but it also has its advantages, man. I think I've always wanted the music business to be the way it is now since I was a kid.
Really?
Where there wasn't a medium, or there wasn't a middleman between the artist and the audience. I always wanted that. You know, I always wanted direct access to my audience. You know what I mean? And I think in that way, it's a great thing. Now, because, you know, everything has its pros and cons, because there is a direct access to the audience and there's no more filter, because record labels served as filters for decades and decades. The record labels were, if you needed that validation from a signed, well-respected record label to be considered a real professional. You know what I mean? Whereas now you don't have that. So now, while it's convenient to have direct access to the audience, it has oversaturated the market, because now there are so many artists, man, so many artists. And I love art, and I love the artists, man. I love the fact that people are creatively expressing themselves. As a fan of the music, of course, I am going to always be more attracted to the more creative work, because that's just me. But that doesn't mean that what somebody else have over here is not for this audience right there. You know, I think there's plenty enough. I think there's plenty enough people in the fan base for everyone to have their own little market, as you would say. So I'm all for it, man. I just know that you have to see, when you got so much on the market, you got to, like, man, you got to comb through all of that stuff to find something that's valid, that's of quality, I should say.
Absolutely. Was there any love or embracement from the entertainment community? You know, like I said, you left a mark on the game and was highly respected as a MC in this business before you left the game. Was there any embracement upon you coming home and being back on the turf?
Well, other than the people who I knew and was label mates, you know, it was a couple people, man, reached out in sincerity, and I'd rather not, you know, even mention them, because I don't really know. You know, I would rather talk to people before mentioning anything about them in this social space. But man, I was just humbled by some of the people whom I listened to while in prison, and was like, man, this dude is dope. It was humbling to see how they embraced me and how, you know, they shared stories with their stories about how I inspired them. So that was cool, and that was humbling.
Right. Yeah, I always wondered about that. So the vision too with I gotta ask you this too, because I was so excited to see you come out at the No Limit reunion tour. What was that like? Did you get that call from P, or did you reach out to get on the tour? How did that come about?
Nah, that was actually the promoter, the actual guy that's throwing the tour. Reached out to my manager, and we kind of settled on the price at that time, and it was cool. Now, as far as the experience, what's weird is, man, I think for like the first 3 shows, the first 2 shows, because by the 3rd show, I think I was ready. For the first 2 shows, man, I was like, what the hell? You know, you gotta keep in mind, I had just come out of prison, so
Right.
to see all of those damn people, I was kind of like taken aback, man. It was like, what the? Like, I felt once again like I was in a time warp, and I'm seeing how everybody's energy was bouncing across the stage, and I'm like, I just don't have that same energy. My life is different now. You know what I mean? So I think for, and then the entirety of the time that I was on the tour, but specifically those first 2 shows, I was really just, I was in amazement just at you know, just being on stage again after all of those years. It was like, of course, the instincts kicked in, and I grabbed a mic and did what I do. But I can literally say that from sound check, I was walking around, and I know people probably looking at me like I was crazy, because I was walking around the theaters and arenas we were performing in, just looking at the walls, looking at the ceiling, and everybody was like, what the hell is wrong with Mac? He loaded. Like, nah, brother. Nah, you don't understand. I wanted to say to some people, y'all don't understand. I laid in that rack night after night, imagining this very thing.
And it's
beating on my chest, rapping to myself, hearing the crowd scream, and all of that stuff in my head. So to actually be on stage and to see it happening was wow, man. It was a feeling I can't even describe.
Man, that's a blessing, man. Like, I ain't gonna lie. 21 Summers, I'm not gonna lie, it was just so refreshing to me, just even hearing you again. You know what I mean? I want to know, was that written within, or you wrote that when you came out? Because the song, when I tell you, fire, man, it touched
me. I appreciate
me.
it. Now this was weird. 21 Summers was the last song I wrote, and I wasn't out yet when I wrote it. I was actually at the work release.
Really?
And I wrote, yes, I was in work release, and I was at the bottom of a ship, fire watching for a welder.
No,
who couldn't speak English. we was down at the bottom of the boat. We just communicated with eye signals and hand gestures. So as we were sitting down there, I was imagining what my life would be like as a free man. And I wrote 21 Summers. So I wasn't even out yet, but it was written as if I was out, because I had to manifest it. I had to tell it to myself, and you know, and kind of, I wanted to hear it. You know what I mean? So when I wrote it, I liked the feeling I got from writing it, and I wanted to hear it. So it happened, man. I'm here.
Any inspirations, like because like you said, you kept your ears to the streets, man, as far as with music, kind of been tapped in or whatever. No, you hearing all these amazing tracks and so many different dope producers out there. Anybody that really caught your attention as far as from the production space of it, like, were you like, yo, I'd love to work with this guy?
Well, other than, I've heard a lot of dope producers, other than the people that I know as far as production is concerned, other than those guys that I know, of course, musically, I have to say I was very impressed with Rick Ross's producers, like the Justice League. I love their song, their sound, man. I love their sound because it's a lot of instrumentation. So of course I was always big on that. I can name, man, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I've heard a lot of dope producers, man, a lot of dope producers. Of course, I heard some tracks on uh, um, what is it, Kendrick Lamar's album, and I don't know if Dre was actually doing those tracks or if those were guys working under Dre doing them, but he had some dope tracks on that album.
You
Of
know, that's
course,
always been a mystery, man. You know,
right.
with Dre, you know, it's always been a mystery. You know what I mean?
Man, it's so many. I can't think of some right now because you asked. It's hard to think of what I've heard as far as music sonically, what I like. But of course, I like some of J. Cole music, and I heard that he produces a lot of his own music.
Facts.
But yeah, man, if you got some instrumentation and you got a lot of breakdowns and that as they say down here, you got that I'm feeling you.
Any artists that really touched you, like, yo, man, I would love to collab with this artist right here. I know you named a few that you kind of admired a little bit. Anybody that you like, yo, you know what, me and this person will make a dope collab.
I gotta give some thought to that because I got a lot of people, and the list probably too long for me to name. But I'll leave it at this. If you think, and I'll say this to the people that's listening, who know what I sound like, and as I've expressed that I'm attracted to the more creative artists, that is probably more lyrically complex and more sound, then I'm pretty sure they already know who they can see me collaborating with. That's what I'll say. And you already know who you can't see me collaborating with.
Look, that's a fact, Mac. You already know that already.
Because you already know some people, you'll be like, man, if Mac can get him, nah, he ain't gonna do nothing with that. So, and you know, that doesn't mean that person is whack. It just means that it wouldn't blend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
shout out to my guy Keegan Thompson, man. He's a huge fan of yours, man. He on there showing a whole bunch of love, and shout out to everybody that's on the chat.
Oh yeah. So I want to say shout out to Keegan. I just saw his name pop up on the screen. I didn't know what that was. Well, wherever you at, Keegan, shout out.
Man, listen, I want to before we get ready to wrap it up, right now it's you've been having a whole bunch of people, man, supporting you, from family, fans, showing you so much love. I just want to give you the opportunity to be able to shout out anybody that you want to shout out and give some roses to.
Man, I just want to give roses to my family, man. I want to give roses to my parents, first and foremost, my mom and dad. I just want to give them roses for raising me and my brothers and sisters.
Y'all be patient. There you go. See, we can't hear you. Can you hear me? We lost the audio. I'm gonna shout out a few people while Mac trying to get the audio right. Shout out to Keegan Thompson. Shout out to Brandon Holmes. GL Got Talent.
All right, you can hear me now?
There we go. There we go.
Nah, I can't hear. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, now I can't hear, but as long as you can hear me, I'm good. Because a phone call came through, and while it came through, I couldn't hear you. So I'm gonna try to read your lips to see if I see what you're saying.
Let's see.
So like I was saying, I want to shout out my parents first and foremost. I want to give a shout out to my wife because she's helped me a lot along the way. She's helped me understand technology, baby, because I don't know anything about technology. I'm gonna give a big shout out to my stepdaughters. Love them. They in here somewhere. So peace to them. I want to give a shout out to my son. Matter of fact, when I got arrested, my son was his mom was only 6 months pregnant. Now he's 21. He's an artist, and he's doing his thing. So big shout out to my son. He know I won't see him win. Give a shout out to my grandmother for raising my mom, and both of my grandmothers for raising my parents, my maternal and paternal grandmother, and just to everyone that supported me along the way, man. I have a lot of people that man, if I went on and start naming, I'd be here all night because I got a lot of people that carried me along the way.
Right. Can you hear me?
No, but I can't hear you, but I can read lips.
Go out and come back in.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hold up. Let me see. You can hear it now?
Yeah. Can you
Nah,
hear
I
me?
still can't hear you. I can see you. I just
Go
can't
out.
hear you.
Go out and come back in.
He's telling me something.
Go out and come back in. And come back in.
All right, go out and come back in. All right. What that mean? Oh, click off.
Vibe Show 97.9, man. We in here vibing out, man, bringing y'all yet another exclusive. Y'all know how we do it on the Vibe Show. It's the one and only Mac. We getting ready to wrap it up. Shout out to everybody that's on the live chat right now. Shout out to Brandon Holmes, GL Got Talent. Shout out to YAHAWASHI. Shout out to Saridia Panita. Shout out to Jason Waters. Shout out to Broderick Lang. Shout out to my guy, Keegan Thompson in the building. Shout out to Charles Taylor. Shout out to MP Melody. Shout out to Sarah Panidia. Shout out to Gravity Level Films, Major right there. Shout out to Vibe Show Casper. Shout out to Foreign Fab in the building. Shout out to Captaza Woodmaster Clothing. Appreciate that love. Shout out to Adrian Hernandez. I appreciate that love. Shout out to my guy, Stephen Barr in the building, Scar Nitty. What's up, my guy? Shout out to the one and only Avio. That's my guy right there. Man, all the time, Jason, man, I appreciate it. We trying to get Mac back in so we can close this thing out. Listen, if you are not subscribed to the Vibe Show 97.9, please hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. We got more exclusive interviews coming up, man. All y'all got to do is just subscribe, turn on the notifications, and you will be notified. We got Mac back in the building right now.
I can hear you. You can hear me?
Sir. Yes, sir. We back in the building, man.
All right. Man,
And closing, anybody else that did you get everybody? I want to make sure you got everybody. You got everybody?
No, that was everybody. That was good.
Okay, can we expect? I know you cooking.
Yeah,
I know you cooking. When can we expect a full project?
All right, so the new project will be it'll be out probably by May. It'll be out. The new project should be out by end of May. We're gonna say mid to end of May. It's, let's just say, it's seasoned.
Yeah,
it's well seasoned, and people gonna love it. People gonna love it, man. It's just a journey, man, about my experience, about my perspective on things, and it's grown folks music, man. You know what I mean? Right. It's a lot of people along the way have asked me, well, yo, Mac, I know you're gonna drop another Shell Shock. I'm like, man, Shell Shock was recorded by a 21-year-old damn fool.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? So, and guess what? I'm proud of Shell Shock. I loved it. That's how I was feeling at 21 years old. Classic. Man, I'm 44, man. I'm 44. Right. So, my thoughts have changed. My perspective has changed. And I think the music is a beautiful reflection of that. And it's just that expect that vintage rawness. The rawness ain't gonna never leave. Or that rawness, that grit, it ain't gonna never leave because that's a part of me. But right. I think it's a mature version, I would say, of my previous releases.
Are we doing this independently, or are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is definitely independent. It comes with growth and maturity. I couldn't have, when I was in the spot and I was on my way out, I was like, man, you had people, like, yo, I got such and such interested in you, this one interest, but I'm just like, man, I'm grown. You know what I mean? This is something that I have to do for me. I got to do this. I got to share my music with the world the way I want to share it, and by my own rules and under my own guidance. You know what I mean? That's just part of being a man. I just couldn't see me as somebody else's daddy. You know what I mean? I just couldn't see me being somebody. I'm a grandfather. I just couldn't see me being a grandfather and being, you know, not independent, as I would say.
Right. I definitely, I love that, man. And well put too. You know what I'm saying? Well put too.
I try to be politically correct.
Yeah. So, man, as we're closing out, you know, I definitely want to get your thoughts on COVID before we get out of here. You know, a lot didn't happen, man. You know what I mean? The world is it's different now. Any thoughts on COVID, you know, and how it may have impacted your thought process on just, you know, seeing this all happen like this?
Man, what's crazy is COVID happened right before I left to go to work release. And so I had a chance to see how it affects institutions.
Right.
Man, there were people dying at the prison I was at. And people were getting sick. A lot of people were getting sick, man. They had us on lockdown. They shut visitation down. We couldn't see our families for a while, for months. We were like in the dorm. We couldn't go to work anymore, anything. And, you know, and as odd as it may sound, you know, everybody in prison works. And work is actually your escape from being in the dorm in that little space around everybody, as you know. And we couldn't go to work, man. We couldn't do anything because
just around each other.
It had hit the prison so hard, and so many people were getting sick so fast. And you know, this was something new, so they didn't really have a protocol for that. So the protocol had to be made through adjustments. You know what I mean? So I saw firsthand how it can affect a mass population of people in a confined space. And you know, for me, my only contact with it was, I think for like 3 days, I lost my sense of taste and smell. I never got sick. I never got fever, never got a cold, never got none of that. I was just, I went to clean up one day. I was working in these offices, and my coworker had prepared the bleach water for me to clean the office with. And I asked him, I said, man, did you put the bleach in here? And he was like, yeah. I said, you must have forgot. So he was like, no, man, Mac, I didn't forget. I put the bleach in there. And I was like, so I stuck my nose to the bucket and I didn't smell nothing. And I was like, well, I'm about to do the final test to make sure to see if this is what's happening. I grabbed a bottle of wax. Now that wax got ammonia in it. So I know if I don't smell this damn ammonia, I don't have no sense of smell. Man, I smelled that wax bottle and I didn't smell anything. And about an hour later, I couldn't taste anything. I was eating food for like 3 days. I couldn't taste anything. And that was my my little bout with it. But my family members, like my wife, she had got sick. A couple of my family members, man, they went to knocking them down. Luckily, I didn't lose anyone as a result of it. But it had affected so many people that when I got to the work release and they offered the vaccination, I was like, yo, I was like, come on, let's go. Because I had so many people who were getting sick, and some people were kind of, you know, skeptical about it. And I understand, because everybody have their reasons for why they don't want to take certain things. And, you know, I can't really speak for someone else, their physical body, because, I mean, you know, you got to make decisions for yourself. But I know for me, I got the vaccination because I just wanted to make sure that if there is something that could stop this thing from killing me or my family members, I'm going to take it.
Facts, man. Facts. Listen, man, I know you've been through a lot and you made it through, and you're still inspiring, touching people, speaking to youth, doing so many different amazing things back on the scene. Any words that you want to leave for anybody, man, who may be low in spirit, may be listening to us right now on the radio or watching us right now, that may think that it may not be any hope, can you leave them with some last words?
Well, I would say, man, no matter how tough a situation may be, you know, always believe that there's light at the end of the tunnel. That is what kept me going. Just knowing and believing that everything was going to eventually be all right. And you know, for some people they see that as wishful thinking, but that is what carried me for 21 years. So I am proof that being optimistic, man, and seeing that glass as half full rather than half empty can carry you a long way, because that is what carried me. And that's what I would leave them.
Wow. Mag, listen, I gotta tell you, and this is from the heart. We know each other, man. We went through that experience together, man.
Yes, and indeed. You was on that count.
Yeah.
You know what it feel like.
I gotta tell you, bro, like, man, I love you, bro.
Same to you, bro.
I really, really do, man.
Same to you, man. That's real tough.
I prayed that I knew you were gonna come home. I prayed, not knowing that I was gonna be in radio and owning a radio station and all of this stuff or whatever, man, you know. But I always wanted to talk to you, man, to bring you on my show, man. And it happened.
And guess what? Thank you. I appreciate you. And guess what? What you got going on right here is proof that those dreams do come true, because this is the type of stuff that we share amongst each other when in that spot. You know, we all share our hopes and dreams. And I want to say shout out to all of my brothers that's on the streets now, that's doing positive things and making those dreams that we all share come true.
Absolutely, man.
So when I see stuff like this, man, it's just a reminder that, that something good can come out of a bad situation.
Right. I want you to know, bro, that, you know, the Vibe Show is home for you. We are behind you 1,000 with whatever you're doing, man. Like you have radio. You could come back on here anytime you want to. We
man, I appreciate that.
We're gonna run the music. We're gonna run the music like crazy. Whatever you got going on, we're gonna help with the promo. Whatever you
better get ready. They better get ready, because I got so much of it. I just got it cocked up. I'm just waiting.
For me and the Vibe team, the whole staff, man, we want to say thank you so much, my brother, and we wishing you more blessings and more success with everything that you're doing right now and everything that we know that you're going to be doing in the future, man. We love you.
So, but thank you, bro. And peace to everybody, man. Y'all enjoy your evening.
Absolutely. I'll get with you off air, man, so we can exchange those numbers and stay linked in.
For sure.
Tell your wife she is amazing with taking care of your business. That Ireland, she was real persistent with the connection and making all of this magic happen. So tell her that I said thank you.
She said you're welcome. She heard you. She right there.
Absolutely. It's the Vibe Show 97.9 with my special guest, my brother and king, the one and only Mac. Y'all make sure that y'all go and follow him right now. And we got music out on streaming platforms, right?
Yep. We got 21 Summers, and we got, you know, all of the old stuff, but the new stuff is on its way.
Absolutely. Y'all make sure that y'all go
21 Summers. Stream 21 Summers.
Y'all go stream that 21 Summers right now. As soon as y'all jump off this live or jump off the radio, y'all make sure y'all go and stream it right now. Follow my guy right now. As soon as y'all get off there, man, we have to support and show him some major love. It's the Vibe Show 97.9. Y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, share this interview. This interview is necessary. Thank y'all so much. Shout out to everybody that was on the live that showed my special guest so much love. Me and Mac, man, we are out of here. It's the Vibe Show 97.9. Peace, Mac. Love you, brother.
Same to you, bro.
Absolutely. We are out of here. Man, amazing. Love y'all.